land with my hands, that's how it goes. Though it ain't fancy, it's the life for me. Living off the land, happy and free. On my HalfAss homestead, I toil day by day, planting seeds in the soil, hoping they'll find their way. With a rusty old tractor and a trusty old mule, I keep this place running, trying to play it cool. I'm maintaining my HalfAss homestead where the bluegrass grows, working the land with my hands, that's how it goes. Though it ain't fancy, it's the life for me. Living off the land, happy and free.
Hey guys, how we doing? Hi Juan Perez, how you doing? Hey, so this has been a kind of a weird week. You know, we're going into Christmas season and all that. I really thought we'd have like a white Christmas, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Right now it's 34 degrees and cloudy. Hey, how we doing, Johnny? Oh wait, it's not just Johnny. You know, it's pretty sad. I have to actually look over to my left to remember who I'm talking to. It's Johnny and Christine, and this is probably Christine. Hey, Christine, how you doing? Yeah, I was kind of expecting a white Christmas this year. Being in New York, it's kind of typical for us to get a white Christmas, but I really don't see us getting a white Christmas this year. I think this year we're going to be. Hi, Karen, how you doing? I think this year we're actually going to be looking at more like a rainy Christmas, actually, which is okay with me. I mean, every time it snows where I have to have my driveway plowed, I pay $40 each time. I think last year I paid the guy 4 times to do my driveway, and it wasn't very much. The year before that, oh my God, we got pounded. Hey, so how we doing, AJ? I am talking to everybody. Everybody that will listen. Yeah, so I expected us for a white Christmas this year, and they're talking rain. I don't know if y'all pay attention to Ryan Hall, y'all, but I do. I want to know more about what's going on as far as Arkansas weather. Then I really care about what's going on in New York weather, but he covers pretty much all of it. And yeah, I mean, I like Ryan Hall. As a person, I like Ryan Hall. As a meteorologist, I love the guy. I think as a YouTube meteorologist channel, he probably has more followers than any of my local news stations, and he's a lot more accurate than any of them could ever be. Hey, Scotty. That fruit fly is flying around. And I didn't get that one. I hardly ever get them. River Rat, how we doing? But yeah, I mean, I really was looking forward to a white Christmas this year. Not one that contained a lot of snow, but enough to make the ground white just because, you know, hey, it's Christmas time. But they're talking rain for us, and it's supposed to rain all the way through. Now, for those of you that follow me on Facebook, I have been sharing some pretty good stuff. One of my favorite ones this time of the year is to do the light shows that are going on. Oh my God. I watched one today that I shared on my Facebook page that they actually came out with a light show where they also included fireworks. And it was a pretty good show. I was pretty impressed with it. And then yeah, well, we're 34 right now, Christine, and they're talking rain, you know. I've got like this really big field behind me. The other day it rained so much the field actually turned into like a little lake. And that's not normal this time of year. That's what we normally see in spring when all the snow melts off of all the hills around us. So it was kind of weird, but you know, it is what it is. But anyway, with these light shows, I've shared quite a few of them. I do it on the Twitter page for Dollar Seed, and I've done it on my own Facebook page to try to get people into the spirit. Because I think when we don't have, I gotta clean the camera off here a little bit. I think when we don't have snow for Christmas, it kind of takes the mood away from people, I guess. For me, I don't care. I would rather be in a place, hi Lynn, I'd rather be in a place where we don't have snow. I can deal with the cold, not so much, but I can deal with the cold. But what I can't deal with is paying my snowplow guy to come over and keep plowing my driveway just because we did get snow. Like I say, 2 years ago, we got pounded. I mean, when he plowed my driveway, I had my tractor set up in the garage with a snow blade on it. And he said to me after he got done, he says, are you going to be a regular? And I was like, huh, you just plugged up my garage. I can't get my tractor out of that garage now. Yeah, I'm going to be a regular. I sold that tractor. It doesn't make sense to own a tractor with a snowplow. Hi, Tildy K. How you guys doing? Thanks for joining in. Hi, Karen. I don't want to have to worry about paying the price of a tractor and paying the price of a snowplow just to have somebody plow me in to the driveway where I can't get them out of the garage. So I sold them. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I actually was joking around with my girlfriend Leah, and I says, hey, you got this $25,000 credit at John Deere. What would be really cool would be if you were to just run over and grab me like a John Deere tractor, a good sized one, not like a yard tractor, but a good sized one that has a bucket loader on the front, and I can stop paying this guy to plow the driveway. But when you take into consideration the cost of that tractor with the bucket loader on the front of it versus paying somebody $40 each time they do your driveways, of course, we got the business, so we got to keep the driveway clean for our employees and then our customers that stop in. But I'm like, yeah, I can't justify paying that money to make that work. It just doesn't work. And she was like, well, what do you want me to do? And I was like, sit on the account. When we go to Arkansas, there's John Deere dealers in Arkansas. When we get out there, then I'm going to probably want something with a grapple on the front, not a bucket. I'll probably want a bucket too. But I'll definitely want something like a box blade for doing a driveway, because that's something we're going to have to put in. I think a grapple probably would make more sense than a bucket at this time. I don't think it makes sense to pay the extra, I don't know how much money it is. I think it's like $2,000 to have a backhoe added to it. Although when it comes time to start putting in water lines and electric lines and stuff like that, it may become something that I would really prefer to have and do myself. But how do you justify, I mean, if you go out and you spend that money, and you could have rented a ditch witch. I spelled that wrong. You could go out and buy a ditch witch for, I don't know, $400 a day, and you only need it for a day to be able to bury your water lines and your electric lines or sewer lines or whatever. How can you justify spending a couple $1,000s on a backhoe to make that work? I don't know. I'm in a toss up. That's one of the things I've been really throwing around in my head is is John Deere the best option for us? A 4-wheel drive John Deere tractor for $25,000, I'm going to get the lowest end that they've got available. And there are other tractors out there that are least expensive. We found one that for I don't remember the brand name, but for $40,000 we could buy the tractor, get the box blade, get the front bucket, get the backhoe, and get a grappling hook for like $40,000. Do I want to spend $40,000 on it? Well, if I need it, yeah, by all means, I do. And I'm looking at buying bare land, so I would like to be able to do it. Yeah, Lynn, the Okie, I sure am too. Tonight has actually turned out to be a really good night, and I have to credit Tilden K for promoting me tonight. I really do. They put me out there while they were on their Christmas giveaway live, and that has helped a lot. Uh, River Rat, I'm gonna say you just need to hit the refresh button. Hey, Dale and Animated in here. Hey, how you doing, 9 Acre Family Farms? Oh, speaking of channels, and this is a new one that I was just sent to. As of, I believe, after the first of the year, but I'm not positive on this. Ivy's Family Factotum, Anson and Gladys, have decided to change their live time, which was 8 Central Time on Tuesday. They will be changing over to 3 Central Time on Sundays. I believe that's what they said they were going to do. He said, pen us in for this one. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm penning you in for it. I penned it in. I haven't changed it on the master list of lives because it hasn't actually happened yet. And I want to make sure that it's actually happening before I change it, because it's not as easy as it sounds to just go in and change something, re-upload the file. And as most people can see up here, when I re-uploaded that file, it comes up as a HTML PDF. It's supposed to be just an HTML. It's not supposed to be a PDF file, but it actually uploaded it as a PDF. I mean, a PDF you can print. HTML files you can too, but PDF prints better. And until they actually make that change, I don't want to make the change on the master list of lives. So that's where I'm at. Hey, lazy days ahead. I didn't. Oh, you are in here, Jess and Lisa. How you doing? Hey, I sent you the invoice for your nightlight that I made for you. That thing turned out looking awesome. I'm really impressed with it. And I just mailed out empty homesteads today. Yes, AJ, I have been creating more lights. I have got probably 17 lights that I've shipped out this week alone. I actually had a guy at my house yesterday that came over. He wanted 5 done with pictures, and I wasn't really impressed with the pictures that I was able to do, but he accepted them. And I said, they're $20 a piece. And he's like, all right, that's cool. And he's like, well, what else do you do? And I was like, well, I do these cutting boards. And he's like, oh, can I get one of them too? And I was like, yeah, you can get a cutting board. So I did a $120 sale on this guy. And I wasn't really impressed with the photo quality. And I think I know what the need be for me to make that change be to where photos actually turn out looking like a real picture. And I'm hoping that I can take one of his pictures and test my theory and make it work. I think that's the way to make it work. And yeah, these night lights are flying. They're flying. And I've still got more to do. My employee Jimmy just started a Whatnot channel. So I have to do his Whatnot channel, and then he hooked me up with 2 more Whatnot channels. And I'll be honest with you, if you want words and you want logos, they actually look the best. A photo right now isn't really coming out to be what I would expect a photo to look like on a piece of plexiglass lit up with an LED light. But I'm going to do my best to make those photos look like the photos that they actually send me. I'm thinking I know what the changes I need to make are. And I actually went and watched somebody else doing photos. And that changed my perspective 100% of what I'm doing wrong. But it also changed my perspective of what I'm doing right. I just need to make some changes. So I'm looking really, really forward to trying to perfect the photos. When I ordered all of these, Empty Homestead and Lazy Days Ahead are on around plexiglass because that fits their logo really well. And they turned out looking awesome. So what I'm thinking is that I wasted a couple of really good squares by trying to do photos and having the photos not turn out right and just throwing it away. But I'm also looking at it as being, well, I've got eight bases extra that weren't taken up by these photos that I was trying to do that I can use for rounds or I could use for more squares. And I've got a lot more squares in stock right now. But a logo looks the best. I mean, everybody here, well, maybe not everybody here. I'll show it because probably not everybody here has seen my logo on it. I want to do it just in white. I'm not going to let it change colors or whatever. But this is my logo done on plexiglass. And I think they turned out looking really phenomenally good. If it's words and it's a little bit of a picture, hand drawn or whatever, they actually turn out best. Hey Scotty, how we doing? They turn out best if it's like a logo or something like that or words. A picture really is hard to do with a laser because the laser has to go from, say, a lot of power to be able to do something small to very little power to put something else in the background that changes the feel of the color of what the picture would be. And I think that's where I was at on it. Hey, back to good. How we doing, hon? So I'm kind of working on trying to get the photos perfected. And like I say, if I waste plexiglass making this work, I waste the plexiglass. I've already wasted enough to say I got extra bases. And those extra bases just say, okay, well, you got all these rounds that didn't come with bases. That was just a round you purchased that was already done. I can cut the plexiglass on my laser, but I'm kind of staying away from that right now because the problem with that is I don't know if anybody's ever smelled burning plastic in their house, but that's some really special smells. And I do have great ventilation set up on my CO2 laser, but that CO2 laser is like, wow. If you cut the plexiglass on the laser, it gives a beautiful edge to it. I've done a couple pieces just to test it. But that smell that it puts into the house, even being really good vented, I've got two different exhaust fans on that laser. That smell is terrible. And as somebody who smokes and somebody who doesn't want weird odors floating through the house, especially because the laser's out on the back patio, it makes it really, really hard to want to say, yeah, I'll just go in and start cutting my own. And it also says, some of these pictures that I was doing, there's a good chance that I was looking at the power spectrum of it wrong. And, I mean, you can have high power that puts one thing on, and then you can go to a lower power so that every grayscale part of that picture looks a little bit different. And I think that's my issue. I don't know as though my laser was letting me make those power changes. So that's where I'm playing with that one right now. And I will do it. I'll play with these pictures because I really, really, really like the idea of being able to do, family portraits on a nightlight. You got your dad and your mom that aren't with you anymore. I think it would be a really cool project to be able to put their faces onto a nightlight so you have it there as a remembrance or whatever. Right now, Ace, nope, I don't. Do you want to join in? If you come in and join in, I'll be more than happy to add you in. Green room right now sits empty. Yeah, Lynn, I'll be honest with you. I've got a John Deere zero turn, and it was bought for me by my girlfriend. Because when I shattered my heel, I couldn't push the brake pedal down on the Husqvarna tractor we had that had the snowplow on it and stuff. I couldn't push the brake pedal down to start the thing, and it made me kind of upset that I couldn't start the tractor because I couldn't use my left foot to push the brake pedal down. So I said to her, I says, hey, you know what would be really cool is if we had a zero turn, because then I could mow my own lawn. I'm not relying on an employee to go out and mow my lawn or whatever. Hi, Christine and Johnny. How we doing? Thought I said hi already, but I'll do it again. But yeah, I mean, that was such a freak accident that happened at work. All you need, AJ, is to have a camera and a microphone connected to your computer. And then you go to this link that's right here on my screen. It says StreamYard with a bunch of letters behind it. And type that in and it'll send you over. But do me a favor, if you decide to go that way, go back to YouTube before you enter the studio and mute the sound, because if you don't mute the sound, it'll just echo. I did learn that. Unfortunately, I learned it the hard way. And I had one time where I was already on a stream with, I think it was Brian. Yeah, Brian last week, where the whole top of my screen disappeared. I couldn't shut down StreamYard to go back to my YouTube part of the channel and say, hey, shh. I couldn't do it. And I'm like, oh, that was nasty. But we got around it. I showed up late on that one, but that's okay. Yeah, so if anybody's following Ivy's Family Factotum, they are changing their day. I don't know when they're planning on changing the day. Anson told me he hasn't put it in front of Gladys yet to get it approved, but they are planning on 3 Central Time on Sundays to be their new time. Because to be honest with you, when they were doing it originally at 8 Central Time, they were also falling in with Southern Blessed Homestead and with Mac and Patty and a couple other channels as well. Actually, tonight I really wasn't too sure how that was going to work out. I knew Tilted K had the Christmas special going on, and on my computer it came up to 7, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's, if it was 7 o'clock my time, that's one thing, but if it's 7 o'clock C, well, that's my time, you know? And it turned out to be, yeah, that was 7 o'clock C, which worked out really well. So that worked out good. And actually, they had a really good giveaway. I was pretty impressed. I didn't catch only but the last 15 minutes of it because I was watching other videos up to that point, which is my bad. I get on YouTube. I don't know. A lot of you guys might be a lot like me. I like watching ASP police pursuits, especially the ones that include what they call the TBI or the pit. And I also watch National State Transparency, which is also Arkansas State Police. I watch Police Pursuits, which is probably 90% Arkansas State Police. But I also watch like Georgia State Police and a couple other channels like that. I really wish I could get something for New York State Police, because New York State Police has a special rule for when it comes time to pit a car. You can't pit a car over a certain mile per hour. Arkansas says, we don't care about miles per hour. We just want to get it done. And they will. They'll drop it right in there. They'll do 150 mile an hour pit if that's what they need to stop a driver from keep trying to run away from them. And I enjoy those. I enjoy those. Actually, I share a lot of them. There was one today that I just shared for a Corvette doing 160 miles an hour. That trooper had no chance in hell keeping up with that Corvette at all, period. They lost him. But where their advantage was, and I laugh about this, where their advantage was is they got up behind him and they stayed behind him long enough to be able to get his license plate number. Well, that automatically tells them, what is your name? Where do you live? Is this car registered to you? Okay, great. We're going to sit in your driveway. We're going to wait for you to get home. And now we've got you, because you can't run away. Once you pull in your driveway, you can drive through your own garage? You know, it ain't going to happen. So they actually got the license plate number, but yeah, there was no way they were keeping up with that Corvette. No way. And Corvettes are, in my knowledge of growing up, Corvettes are like a vehicle that's very low to the ground. Center of gravity's awesome on them. And you can burn rubber with that thing, and the ass is going to stay behind you. And, excuse the language. I don't care. We're all adults here. But yeah, and it's like, okay, it's all there. It's all there. And I think that's what everybody needs to like understand is that, if they get your license plate number, it doesn't matter how fast you go, how good of a driver you think you are, or anything else. They already know who you are, if the car is registered to you, and where you live. And they will just go sit in your driveway or in your neighborhood, wait for you to pull in the driveway, and they'll block you in, and you're not going to drive through your garage. That's impossible. I mean, I don't know anybody that'd be dumb enough to drive through their garage to try to escape a trooper. But those are the kind of videos I like watching. Of course, Drew's Lens, Drew's Reacts. I watch every day of Drew's Reacts, and he does a pretty good job with breaking down what you're watching. I enjoy that part of his channel. I've actually thought about starting part of my own channel about employees abused at work. I know not a lot of people get abused at work, but there are some, and they do make it out on YouTube. And I think that would be like a really good react video of, I'm going to react to somebody that was just went through their work and everybody gave them crap, or they tried to make this guy be dumb. I mean, I've watched movies of it. One of my favorite scenes, and I don't remember what the name of the movie was, but one of my favorite scenes was, oh no, everybody, when they become part of this force, they shoot their gun into the ceiling. So the guy nonchalantly just pulls out his pistol and he shoots in the ceiling. Everybody else pulls out the weapon, gun, gun, gun. I forget the name of the movie, but that was a really good scene. I enjoyed that one. I enjoy a lot of them. I've been hooked on Weeds, even though it hasn't been on air in quite a long time now. I got picked up on Weeds with Hoku TV, and for me, that's like binge watching. I've been watching that pretty good. I like the show. I like the concept of it. And, a lot of people say, well, I watched that years ago. Okay, great. I'm glad you did. I didn't. It wasn't available to me on my Spectrum TV. It wasn't available. So now I'm catching up with it on Hoku TV. And I do that a lot with other shows that are brought up on Amazon Prime. I do have Netflix, which I won't have much longer. I have not watched a Netflix movie now in over 2 years since I got hurt. Actually, I was watching Netflix movies while I was on my job because my job didn't require me to be like 100% in the plant. It just required me to be available. But I don't watch Netflix anymore, and I think it's like $16.99 or $15.99 a month. I don't need to spend that money. I don't watch it. There's nothing on Netflix that I can't watch on another channel. And probably I can watch them on a free channel, or I could watch it on Amazon Prime. And to be honest with people, I do Amazon Prime because I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. I'm going to say probably 25 to 30% of my print shop is stuff that I go to Amazon to buy. Even my seed business, all of our print cartridges and stuff like that, they come from Amazon Prime. And I bought into Amazon Prime because we do buy so much that I don't want to pay shipping and handling. Well, if you're going to throw free movies on top of that, then okay, I definitely don't want to pay shipping and handling now. So I do Amazon Prime. I'm actually pretty impressed with Amazon. They don't always put out like new content on a regular basis, but they do try to keep it updated to an extent. I actually thought about going to work for Amazon for a while, but my problem with that is that my foot doesn't work the way it used to before I got injured, and you have to carry a lot of weight, up to 70 pounds, I think they said, and I'm restricted to 40, so that stopped that idea. But I thought about it. I really did. And I also thought about, well, what if I was the driver and I had a rider, and the rider could carry the heavy packages? Would that work? No, not with Amazon. It don't. One person does it all. That's all there is to it. Hey, and everybody, I really want to say this. It's not happy holidays for me. It's Merry Christmas. I grew up saying Merry Christmas, and I will die saying Merry Christmas. For those that think that Happy Holidays is a substitute to Merry Christmas, it's not. It's not. We're celebrating Jesus on Christmas. We're not celebrating New Year's. You know what I'm saying? So it's not Happy Holidays for me. I'm not a big religious kind of guy, as most people know. I drink, I smoke, I swear. But in the same respect, I try to be respectable, and I don't diss people that want to be like Three Mississippi. They're in church every Sunday or whatever. I don't diss them for that. I actually appreciate them for that because I think we need to have people that have structure. I wish my son had some kind of a structure now. He doesn't. He's a drug addict and he's a terrible kid. And my grandkids are being taken care of by his or by her, not by his, because that would be me, but by her grandparents. And I just dropped off Christmas cards over there the other day with $50 gift cards, and he was telling me about his health, and I was like, dude, wow. You know, you guys never fill me in on what's going on over here on your side. If you need me to take those kids for a day or whatever, I'd be more than happy to do it. But it's one of them things of being, if you can't tell me you need me to, then I don't know. You know, I don't know. If you had a way to get a hold of me and say, hey, you know, we got this going on today. We aren't going to be able to get the kids out of the house. We can't get the kids off the bus. We can't do this. We can't do that. I'd go over and I'd take care of it. It's not an issue. They're my grandkids, you know. They've got their own kids too, and some of them are pretty darn young. Not the same age as my grandkids, but not old enough to really be left to babysit my grandkids either. And I'd do it. I mean, I don't have an issue with that. If they let me know that I need to do it, I'd be more than happy to do it. Linda Yoki, yes, I agree with you 100%. Hey, White Rock Homestead, how are we doing, Jason and Tara? Mr. and Mrs. White? Yeah, AJ, I'll be honest with you. I really didn't think I was going to like weeds when I started watching it. But the more I've watched it and the more intense it's gotten, the more hooked I am. And there's been a couple episodes, like I'm in season 5 now. There was a couple episodes I said, well, this is going to be the last one. And it's not. They carry on. And, okay, well, this is going to be the last one. And it's not. They carry on. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how that person's mind works that keeps creating these new episodes. But it's also a lot like some of these other ones. I mean, you got the one that used to do Charlie Sheen. Or not, yeah, is it Charlie Sheen? Yeah, Charlie Sheen. The ones that used to do his. I would sit back going, how do you have so many shows with so many different characters and keep your mindset for each show you were doing to be able to say, this is what these guys are going to do, this is what these guys are going to do, and this is what their names are. You know what I'm saying? And I could never figure it out. I actually figured Chuck Lorre as being like a major drug addict because that would, for me, would be the only way you'd be able to pay attention to everything you're creating. Because it wasn't just the only show. He had like, I don't know, 5, 6 different shows running at the same time. And it was like, wow, that's really, really messed up. How do you keep your characters straight? How do you keep your storylines straight? Do you have whiteboards all over your office, and then every whiteboard has the characters and then their names, and then you just got to figure out the next plot of the story? And how do you do it, and how do you keep them so funny? Chuck Lorre, to me, is a mystery. He's a lot like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a mystery to me. I think Elon Musk, when he came out the other day, yeah, it's a script, Lynn. I agree with you, but that script has to have an end zone for the end of the show at that day, and then they have to come up with a new script for the next week or next show. And it's got to be hard to be able to keep that going. And to only have a few people working on a show like that is phenomenal. Now, Elon Musk, I just watched one here tonight before my live. Actually, before I got into Tilted K, I was watching part of it about how Elon Musk wasn't keeping up his bargain with the FCC because Starlink isn't giving the speeds he promised to everybody that they're supposed to be getting it. And I'm like, guys, I've been on Spectrum for years, and they don't give me anything that they've already guaranteed ever. They never do. Hey, Moron Experience, how you doing? They don't give me anything that they claim that they're going to be able to do. I have T-Mobile set up right now. That's what I do my lives on and stuff. And that's what I put in my camper. So when we go camping, that's my internet. That's when I do my lives by the campfire or under the awning of the camper or whatever. I use T-Mobile for that. That's $50 a month. My Spectrum is $200 and something a month. I was downloading a video today on Spectrum, and it was like 3 megabytes per minute, something like that. It was really super slow. And I was like, wait a minute. And I switched over and I said, all right, do it on T-Mobile. Well, that was 15 megabyte per second. Not minute, per second. What I wanted to download took me less than a minute to download. Where on Spectrum, it took me almost an hour to download. And if I upload, it's a total different story. So I switched back over to the T-Mobile in my office, where I'm at now, just so I can use the faster speeds. But nobody gives you the speeds they promise. And the FCC can't hold you to promising the speed because that's not due to be expected until like 2025. So that's kind of a weird situation for me. I don't know. But anybody out there is struggling with internet, and I know Gary and Mary from Junk to Gems were really struggling with just getting cell phone service. I would say if you can get your hands on a T-Mobile modem for doing your wireless internet, test that out. No matter where you are, they have so much coverage. They told me at our last campground that there was no coverage. You could not do it there. Hey, one day at a time, how we doing? They told me there was no coverage at that campground, and I took it over anyway. The first thing I did was set up my Roku TV that's in our camper inside the hut. Can I watch any channels I want? Yes, I can, including Spectrum. Okay, great. Now, can I get the computer to hook up to it? Yes, I can. Life goes on, and it works. Jay, or AJ, I call you. A. Snopes' name is actually Jay. For those I'm wondering why I call her AJ. You can spell all the beans you want, because that's one thing that we all like are spilt beans. You know what I'm saying? You get these channels and they say, well, we're going to spill some beans, but we're not going to spill all of them. No, if you start dropping that pot, you let it hit the floor. We want to see them beans flying off the walls, stuck to the ceiling, whatever you got. Spilling beans is not an issue. I like watching beans get spilled. I've actually spilled quite a few myself. So, yeah, I love watching beans get spilled. And yeah, it is the actors that make the show. That's the funny thing about it. I know there's a lot of shows. When I was partnership in a horse ranch, one of my partners' name was Jesse, and he was a rewriter for Hollywood for many years. And they couldn't afford to pay him. So what they were doing is they were giving him like all these old Betty Boop movies and stuff like that were all black and white. And he was paying some company in China like low dollar value to make them be colored and then re-airing them again in the colors. But his job was a rewriter. And there were a lot of actors that would go on stage and they were told, you're allowed to say this line, you're allowed to say this line, and then shut up. And there's a lot of them that when they go on stage, it's all ad lib. What they say that they're supposed to say versus what they say actually is nothing. It's nothing. It comes out as being whatever comes out of my mouth at the time that we do this, and a lot of them were done live at the time. Whatever comes out of my mouth at the time, we're going to run with it, and everybody else just needs to figure out where I'm heading with it and fill in. And my partner Jesse was like, man, I'll tell you right now, he says, there was a lot of shows I had to rewrite because I had actors that didn't like the lines, they didn't like this, they didn't like that, and they'd give suggestions, and we'd have to go back to rewrite. And we'd put it all together, and then they'd go back into the studio, and then they'd practice it, and then they'd finally film it. And he says, these guys were paying me a really good dollar value, or were supposed to be. And they were giving me movies because they couldn't afford to pay me. But I forget how many movies he had. When he retired from Hollywood, he came out to New York and started doing the horse ranches. I forget how many films he had in his possession. But I'll be honest with you, this wall right here is 13 feet long. He could have filled that thing up with all kinds of cans of films and then turned the corner and gone the other 10 feet this way with all kinds of cans of films, and that wouldn't even have been a tenth of it. He had so many films, and they had to be stored in climate controlled areas. He had so many films that it was just like, wow. And he's like, yeah, he said, well, people don't want to watch Betty Boop in black and white anymore, but I got this company in China that can color them. So I send them to them. And then they send it back to me in the color format. And of course, now they're sharing it in a different format because on a film, it's black and white and it's frame for frame. So they have to go in and paint every individual frame of that. And then they send it back to him in like an MP4 format to where he can just send it out and say, okay, play it again. And he could play them. He had legal right to. And he actually got more watches on his videos than Hollywood got when they were all black and white movies. So that was a pretty cool thing. I was pretty impressed with the process. I was very impressed with my partner over there, Jesse, because that guy knew so much. He knew the actors. He knew the storylines. He knew what people wanted to hear. They knew what people wanted to say. And he just put it all together. He was a really good guy. Unfortunately, last year he died. One of our other partners in one of our ranches had embezzled all the funds from the ranch when we sold it. It was $1.3 million. $13,000 of that was mine. Jesse promised to give it back to me, and then Jesse passed away not much afterwards. So I didn't get it. I didn't get paid nothing, but I didn't care. I was around good people when I was there, and life goes on. You get to know people. You get to think that, hey, I got money invested, I'm going to get money back, and you don't. And it doesn't matter as long as you make a friend along the way. That's what I say all the time. As long as you make a friend along the way, it doesn't really matter. I actually have 5 of these night lights and a cutting board out with a couple right now. And I told them, I says, Christmas is only in a few days. Rather than you guys paying me $120 right now, how about you go ahead and enjoy Christmas, and then within the next month, just bring me the $120. I know you're good for it. I know where you live. I know your parents. Come back within the next 30 days. Pay me for it, and life goes on. That way, you're not cutting your Christmas short. because that's the last thing I want to do to somebody. A $20 nightlight doesn't cut anybody short. But when you order 5 of them and you want a cutting board too, that's $120. That's cutting somebody short. It could be a car payment. It could be gas for that car. It could be putting towards mortgage, putting towards insurance, putting towards food, putting towards Christmas presents, whatever, you know. At that, I'm sitting back going, yeah, at that one, I can kind of hold back a little bit and say, yeah, I trust you. I should know not to trust people because I've been screwed by people. But in the same respect, I'm a lot like Tilden K. I have faith in the humanity of people, maybe too much, but sometimes people do things for you that you didn't expect. And when that happens, you just have to run with it and you have to say, hey, can I afford to do this? For me, yes, I can. I can do it. Can I not afford to do it? Well, if I can't afford to do it, I won't. You know, I mean, if I can't afford to do it, I just can't afford to do it. The difference being is that I probably make 10 to 20 times more per year than these people do, but I know them. And to me, that makes a big difference. You know, if I know somebody, and I've known them for a while, actually, I've known them for, I'm going to say, let's see, Leah and I have been together since 2013, so 10 years we've been together. I'm going to say I've known these guys for at least 8 years. And I'm really good friends with their dad. And so I'm like, yeah, I can trust them. To an extent, I can trust them. If I need to hunt them down, it's not that hard to do. I actually have their home address. I was going to deliver everything to their house. And he's like, well, I'm going to be over here in Groton. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a lot closer than Newfield. I went to Groton. I hung out. He's like, I'm going to be there about 8 o'clock in the morning, but make it 9 o'clock to be safe. And I was like, okay, well, I hung out till about 9:30 and I didn't want to hang out anymore. And he's like, oh, man, I didn't get there till 9:30. And I said, well, congratulations. Now here's my address. If you want them and you want them before Christmas, you got to come pick them up because I'm not going back to Groton. For me, Groton's an hour plus drive away. And he made the trip and he picked them up. And I'm like, okay, well, now you know where I live. There's no excuse for you not to come back and pay me, you know? I don't know. I'm a nice guy on stuff like that most of the time. But I trust people on average. I really think I have a lot of faith in the human spirit of people saying, I intend to do good things, and 9 times out of 10, they will do good things. You always get that 1% or 10% that just says, yeah, whatever. And you never hear from them. You never see from them again. And my thinking is that, you know, if you're a friend of mine and you decide you want to do that to me, then if that's all it costs me to make you decide you don't want to be my friend anymore and you don't want me to trust you anymore, congratulations. I got out of it cheap. You know, I got out of it cheap. It's a $120 bill. That's pretty cheap to say, hey, you know what? I don't need you in my life. Get out. You know, that's always been my kind of philosophy on that. Is that I've had really good friends that have really screwed me over, including one of my ranch partners, the one that embezzled the money. But he passed away right after he embezzled it. So I was like, what am I going to do? Go after his estate? I don't think he had one. I think when he embezzled the money, he went to California, and the only thing that man had when he got to California was the money he had on him at the time that he got there. I reached out to his daughter, and his daughter says, yeah, he didn't own any houses. He didn't own this. He didn't own that. Well, Christ, he was a partner in the ranch. He had to have owned something. No, actually, he didn't have a pot to piss in. Well, congratulations to me. I took somebody in as a partner who I thought had the ability to at least keep up with his part of the options of what you need to do to keep the horse ranch going. And it wasn't just one, it was 2 horse ranches he was a part of. He actually sold my horse on his way out. That was the thing that bothered me the most. I had a horse. My horse's name was Tank. And he was named that because I was the only one that could ride him. And if all the other horses were going up the mountain on the trail ride, Tank would stop and he'd watch, and they'd walk around the road and go up through. And Tank would just turn his head and go, "Yeah, they're right there. I'm not going to go all the way around if all I got to do is go this way." And he would turn and he'd walk through the trees. Didn't matter if your legs were in the way or anything, man. He was just a brute. He was a tank. He'd go right through the trees. And there was one time I was taking him back to the ranch where he stopped at the top of the hill and he watched all the other horses going down around the S turn to get back to the barn. And he just stood there and he's looking at him. He's going, "Well, shit, they're right there at the barn. It's right here at the bottom of the hill. Why do I want to walk all the way around? No, I just go down the hill." And I'll be honest with you, that was the first time I've ever rode a horse where my feet were in the stirrups, my ass was laid back on the saddle to where my head was on his butt, and I had my toes wrapped around his neck, and I was just like, "Whatever you do, don't break any bones of mine." And he went down that hill, and he went down that hill hard. Everybody's like, "You don't run a horse down a hill." I wasn't running the horse was doing it all on his own. And he made it all the way down to a creek that was right behind our barn. And when he got to that creek, he just stopped. And I was still laying down, thank God, because if I was sitting up, I'd have been over his shoulders. But I was still laying down, holding on to the reins. And when he stopped, I was like, "Why did you stop?" And it's, "Oh, okay, now I understand. We're standing in the creek. He's cooling down his ankles because he just ran down the frickin' mountain." It was a pretty cool ride. I would not recommend it to anybody that's not used to riding horses by any means. But yeah, my partner, he sold my horse on his way out the door. That was his last step move, was he sold Tank, and that was my horse. I paid $650 for Tank plus $350 a month for boarding for about a year and a half. That was my horse, and he sold my horse as he was getting ready to move to California. Hi, Charlene Grady. How we doing? But yeah, that guy sold my horse. Now I was so disappointed in him. It wasn't because he sold the ranch and embezzled the funds or anything else. It's because he sold my freaking horse. I was like, that was my horse, dude. You know, do I really care? Well, I had a home for him, so yeah, I did really care. I actually had a horse rescue set up where we have a big issue in New York State where a lot of these horse trailers and stuff that are out there and are hauling horses down the highway, the trailers are outdated, the floors are rotten, and they've actually had times where they pulled horse trailers over where the horse's legs were actually dragging on the road where they fell through the bottom of the trailer. So I opened up a horse rescue place, and I had the barn set up, and I had 14 acres of land, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just take these horses in. If you guys get this on a 81, send them to me. I got caretakers here. I got a really good fucking guy over here that is really good with horses. He can maintain the horse. He can get him back to medical health and stuff. And so I was ready for it. And I ended up shutting it down because I didn't have my horse. And that was a sad situation. That was a sad situation. I actually looked forward to it. And because he sold my horse when he stole all the money and ran, I lost hope. I lost hope. I was like, yeah, shut it down. I called our local ASPCA and I said, hey, don't send me any horses. I don't have mine, and mine was going to be like the beginning of it all. And I don't have mine now because he was sold without my knowledge, and I lost faith in a lot of things at that point in time, a lot of things. But I've gained it back. I'm the kind of person that one thing my boss used to say is, well, that guy's a lowlife. Yeah, but he's also an honest man. You know, if you get to know him, he's not here to steal your car or your wallet. He's just not the cleanest person on the street, but he's actually a nice person. And if you do me wrong once, there's a really good chance I'm going to give you the opportunity to make it right. You do me wrong twice, that opportunity will never come back. You know what I'm saying? It's not because I think all people are great or all people are bad. It's just some people were not made to be respectful. I guess that would be the right word. And some people were made to be disrespectful. My son, disrespectful. Other people, I give them a second chance. You know, I gave my son a second chance. He stole from me. I gave him a second chance. He stole from me again. Well, guess what? There are no third chances. You know, you just have to, for me, that's called tough love. And there's a lot of people out there today that don't practice tough love with their kids. If their kids are acting out, you can say, hey, you know, I don't want you to do this anymore. Are they going to listen? Well, probably not. Probably not. They're rebellious. They're not going to listen. And if they don't listen, then it's your option as the adult in the household to say, well, great. You didn't do what I wanted you to do. So now I'm not going to do what you're asking me to do. I'm just going to dismiss you and say goodbye. You know, practice tough love. And I think that's a big issue with today's society. People don't practice tough love. I remember growing up, if I did something wrong, I either got a belt, I got a yardstick, or I got a paddle. You know, that was the three options available. And I grew up fine. You know what I'm saying? I grew up fine. My son, no belt, no paddle. Spankings by all means. I'd spank his butt just as quick as anybody else. And he was respectful at that point in time. But then his mom took him away from me and moved to a different area, and I lost custody. And he came back as being, totally disrespectful. I don't care. If you don't discipline your kids to an extent, putting them in the corner and saying time out, I guess it works with some kids. I did that with my nephew, and it actually brought him into being a guy that went into the Navy and came out very respectful. So yeah, that does work to an extent, but only if you inbred it into the kid that they have to understand you are the boss. You're not their friend. You're not their friend. You're not out there to be the best friend. You're out there to be the parent. And if it means that I have to throw a little discipline your way because you're acting out or you're doing something that's dangerous or whatever, then so be it. You got to get out there and you got to do it. Kids today, they don't see that. And I think that's where our society is at right now. That's why you got, all this other bullcrap going on around our country is, they just weren't taught right from wrong. And I'm sorry. I think if you're not taught right from wrong at an early age, you'll never learn it at an older age. And I know most of the people that I know in Arkansas, we all grew up under the same conditions. We all grew up under a very strict kind of a household. Our parents didn't coddle us. They said, put the foot down. This is going to be it. This is what we're doing. And if you don't pay attention to it, then you can just go without, Dinner's on the table. You either eat it or you go without. Kids today are like, oh, I don't want that. I want something different. And the parents just, okay, well, what do you want, Johnny? Here's your tuna fish sandwich while everybody else is eating steak. To me, that's wrong. Lenny, okay, I agree. We got to switch to the belt. I actually used to laugh about that. My dad actually told me one time, go get me a switch. And I came back with a light switch. And he says, you're not an electrician. Go get me a real one. We had somebody call our house. My dad was a plumber. And we had somebody call our house. And they said, well, I need your dad to come over and do this. And I was like, my dad's not home right now. And they said, well, can you come over and do something for it? And I was like, yeah, I can probably come over and do something for it. And I did. I went over to the house and I looked at it. And there was a pipe leaking, and I put my thumb over it. And the lady says, well, that's not going to stop it. And I says, lady, I'm the plumber's son. I put my thumb on your leak until the plumber comes. I'm not a plumber. And I stood there for probably about 45 minutes before my dad found out that I was over there holding my thumb over a pipe, and he came over and shut the water off and soldered the pipes back together and stuff. And he's like, "What did you tell her?" And I says, I'm not the plumber. I'm the plumber's son. I'll sit here and I'll hold your leak with my thumb." People think, well, you're supposed to know everything your dad knows. No, I would never know everything my dad knows, ever. My dad was an inventor, a renowned inventor at that. I would never know anything my dad knew. My dad was actually a guy that had a college degree for going into the ground and pulling soil samples and know what those soil samples stood for. To me, it says it's either a good place to put a garden or it's a bad place to put a garden. Till it up. Let's see if it grows, Anyway, guys, I have been on for my hour. We're actually a minute over now, so I'm going to let everybody go. Thanks for joining me. Everybody, have a Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. And by all means, if you haven't talked to any of your family members in a while, reach out to them and just show them some love. And just say, hey, I just wanted to reach out and say Merry Christmas. Because everybody needs to be told that, even if they don't want to hear it. It's not Happy Holidays, it's Merry Christmas. And on that note, I'm going to step out. You guys all enjoy your weekend, and everybody have a great night.